Hey friends, hey you damn sentimental fools, got a quick announcement before we get into today's episode. We now have every episode of Sentimental Fools that has been done so far up and live on Spotify Podcast and Apple Podcast. I did the work, I figured it out, and I got them on up there, okay? So, if you like the show, if you like what I'm doing, please consider going over to Spotify or Apple Podcast and listening to the audio versions on those platforms. Maybe even leaving a nice rating for me if you like the show. If you're feeling particularly generous and kind, I sure would appreciate it, my friend. Okay, that's all for now. Just want to let you know they're on up there, okay? All right. Thanks for being here. Let's get into the show. You want to know what the score is, pal? Do you want to know what the score is, my friend? I'll tell you what it is. You clock in, you punch that clock, and then you shovel shit. Big old pile of shit. You are shoveling it. You shovel the shit and then you clock out. You try to get some sleep and then you clock in and then you shovel some more shit. Clock out, clock in, shovel shit. Clock out, clock in, shovel shit. That's the score, my friend. You best get accustomed. Welcome to Sentimental Fools. Okay? All right. Welcome back, friends. I appreciate you. Thank you. All right, so I've had a lot of weird jobs. We're going to talk about them today, right? Because I don't really have a career, okay? This is Chris Sans' career, okay? None of my jobs were building to something in the realm of a career, right? I always have... I'll try again. Okay. Welcome to Sentimental Fools. Okay? All right. Listen, I have never had a career, okay? I am Chris Sans' career. Since I was a teenager, I have dreamt of figuring out some way to make a living in a satisfying manner, being creative, making things, right? Making music, recording, but in general, just something engaging in creativity, right? And guess what? I haven't really figured that one out yet. Turns out that road was much longer and harder than I ever thought it would be. But I don't care. You just keep doing it. Best advice anybody can give you if you're trying to do creative stuff was from Frank Zappa. Rule number 1, keep going. Rule number 2, don't stop. Best advice. Because you hear a lot of other people and they're like, you just have to honestly and truly express yourself. You just have to lift off the filters, right? Develop skills and just make something that's an honest expression. Yeah, and that you do. That is a good thing. That is how the sausage is made, right? However, nobody tells you that it doesn't always, that still doesn't guarantee it works right away, right? And that it feels pretty terrible to do an honest expression of yourself, and then nobody cares, which more likely than not, as you start doing this kind of thing, no one's going to care, right? For a while, unless you get real lucky or you hit a nerve or you play the game really, really well right off the bat, like someone else taught you how to play the game and you just do it, whatever, I don't know. But yeah, more likely than not, no one's going to care. And the more honest you are, the more you feel you are truly expressing your unique character, yourself, right? And still nobody cares, it just makes it feel even worse. It's like more demoralizing. Just like, oh, so I guess people just don't like me, like the real me, you know? But fuck it doesn't matter. That's why the only advice you really need is 1, keep going. 2, don't stop, right? Because just focus on that. Just keep making stuff, right? But anyway, I say all that to say, right, that in order to support a life of continuously trying to develop a career in creativity, right, I've had a lot of weird day jobs, okay? Because I went to a liberal arts school. Very smart move. Very smart move, bro. I appreciated it to no end. I had a great time. I learned a lot of things that I still use all the time to this day. Okay? And it was, at the end of the day, worth it for the distilled knowledge that's hard to get in other places. It's very concentrated. It's very distilled, right? And that's great. And so I tell anybody else, that was a long time ago now, I graduated in 2013. I tell anybody else I meet who's younger, thinking about going to art school, to do film, to do creative writing, whatever, I tell them that's a really, really, really stupid idea, and you should probably do it. It's one of those things, right? So I say that to say, right, yeah, I got out of college. I went straight from high school to college, right? I got out of college, and besides my specialized skills in audio that I learned in college, which honestly didn't much apply to the available audio jobs. Oddly enough, I just concentrated in studio recording, and a lot of the audio jobs you can find are like audio video, and I didn't know anything about video, and it's, long story short, it was hard to find something in the field, right? So I needed work, I needed money, I had moved out of my parents' house, I needed a job, wanted to just start working, start building the foundation of a life, right? But yeah, I didn't have any applicable skills, so I got out of college and just started working weird entry-level jobs who would hire a goofball like me, right? And so we're going to talk about all these weird jobs today, and I feel totally comfortable sharing details, talking about these jobs, because guess what? They're all gone. I don't know. Every job that I have had in the past no longer exists. The business no longer exists. It either shut down, or they sold it, and then they shut down. They're all gone. My past is disappearing rapidly. Memories that cannot be revisited in reality. So I'm totally fine talking about all this stuff, and it's weird. It's interesting. I've had some weird ones. The first job I had the summer between when I graduated from high school and when I went to college. So like summer of 2009, I got my first job. My dad was working like a part-time second job at that time for extra money. And he got me a job at this place. And it was called Tintype. And it was a youth sports photography company. Right? So if you play Little League or whatever the specialized names are for the other sports, youth hockey, youth football, whatever, youth baseball, and someone comes to take pictures of the team, right? So you can have souvenirs and mementos and stuff to hang on the fridge, all that business. This was a company that either the park district of a town that had youth sports programs, or elementary schools or middle schools that had youth sports programs that you could hire them out and they would handle everything, right? They would come, they would set up at a location, take all the pictures of the team, edit the pictures, print the pictures, and then they had a whole bunch of extra extra sports related products that they would sell you, right? You could get your pictures turned into trading cards, buttons, you could get plaques made, all that kind of stuff, right? So I worked at this place during, that summer of 2009, and then the next summer of 2010, and maybe the next summer too. I kind of forget. I think I did. Because I would go home in between, summer break from college, I would go home. I would go back. They were happy to have me back. They would just like, hey, welcome back. Go in the back and make more buttons, So I worked there 2, maybe 3 summers. And I worked in the back doing like assembly. And it was actually kind of fun because I'm kind of a detail-oriented person. I like organizing, I like focusing in, and that's what the job required. So I was in the back. You get these big stacks of pictures that were printed, right? You had to cut them up, separate them, sort them properly with people's order forms, right? Because you use a big batch of order forms, sort them properly. And then, because, some people get just like a big 8x10, some people get 8x10s and then wallets and whatever. You know how it goes. You've been to school. It's picture day shit, right? And then there's all the extra stuff. So you figure like, oh, this kid gets trading cards. So you go make the trading cards, Oh, this kid gets a button. So you I work that button machine so fucking much. Or like, oh, this kid's getting a plaque. You make the plaque. Had to work an engraving machine a couple times to make custom like engraved labels for the plaque, stuff like that. It was kind of fun. You're in the back, not dealing with customers, just focusing in, getting all this shit sorted, making sure everybody had what they need, put these packages together, box them up. Sometimes we'd mail them, sometimes we'd deliver them personally in like a company minivan, which I did a couple times. Which incidentally, I have like I get like weird anxiety with company vehicles. Does anybody else have this? Has anyone else experienced this? Let me know. There's something about like just, I don't know. It's just, it just makes me uncomfortable using their cars. I always feel like something's going to go wrong or I'm going to screw something up. And I'm a good driver. I'm a good, safe, defensive, focused driver. But yeah, there's always something that's just like, I got behind the wheel. I'm just like, oh shit, come on. Please, everything be okay. There's something about that. And I've gotten better at dealing with that, but still to this day, when I think about driving a company vehicle for a business, I just, something about it makes me uncomfortable. I don't know what it is. But yeah, so it was kind of fun. You just hang out with other people in the back. You all work together to get these packages put together. And, and yeah, it was kind of nice, just got music on the radio. I met some nice people, we just chat, talk about whatever, joke around, put this shit together, clock out, good to go, So not a bad first job. It was kind of fun. There were a couple aspects to the job that were pretty unpleasant. I love doing stuff in the back. That was always a treat. But sometimes we'd have to do other things. Sometimes we'd have to pitch in when they would go out and take pictures, right? Do like photo assistant stuff, which was not my favorite. 'Cause now I have to see people, I have to see all these children and see like parents or like school staff or whatever. And that wasn't my favorite. I like being in the background, especially back then. I've gotten a lot better at interfacing with people, a lot better. In fact, I enjoy it quite a bit now. But at the time, I was younger, still didn't know, still was just not confident, awkward. And didn't like that. But it wasn't so bad. I didn't do that very much. What I did do more so is selling pictures on site at youth sporting events, at youth hockey, big little league, youth baseball tournaments, right? You show up, you set up a booth, company photographers take action shots, right? They sort them by like jersey number and team. They print all this stuff up beforehand. So you just come with these boxes of pictures already printed, haven't been paid for yet. And people come up to the booth and you try to sell them picture packages. You go like, okay, for $60 you get an 8x10 and blah, 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 and this and that. And for $100 you get this, and you get a thing. And that, and you try to sell them shit. And yeah, that was, those were long days. Those were just long days. You get there before anybody else gets there to these big events, especially the Little League one. Those were all day, big tournaments, tons of teams there, playing tons of games all day. So you get there way before anybody else gets there. You have to set up your whole booth, hang things up, organize shit, get everything ready. And then, you're just there all day, hours and hours and hours, interfacing with people, trying to sell them stuff, bosses pressuring you to like upsell and draw attention to different things. And I've never been like that. I've always just been an honest, like, hey, these are the products that we have. What are you interested in? I want you to have what you're interested in. I don't want to sell you more than you need, ever. I got the hang of it. It freaked me out at first, right? As again, I'm young, I'm awkward, never been in that position before, but I got the hang of it. It ended up not being so bad, but they were just long, exhausting days. The Little League one wasn't so bad. There were even smaller ones that I did that were super easy, right? But the owners of the business weren't too happy with that because that, an easy day for me means we didn't sell a lot, which deviate for a moment. That's always been an interesting thing is that most jobs, the best day for the employee is the worst day for the owner, right? Ain't that a bitch? It's counterintuitive. It's goofy. It's a goofy thing to work a day job. because the shittier the business is, right, the less customers are engaging with the business, the easier time the employee has and the better they feel and the better the business does. It's goofy like that. It's really weird. Obviously, that's not across the board. There's different situations, but yeah, it's goofy. However, we did have to go sell pictures at this one location, and it was one of the, this is all relative, of course, it was one of the worst days of work at a day job I ever experienced. And I'll tell you why. So, and it was a little different situation too. So we went to a large indoor pool attached to, I think it was UIC, University of Illinois Chicago, in the city, kind of right outside the loop. We went to their big indoor pool, which had two pools in it, two big lap pools, right? Really big building, really high ceilings. 2 levels, right? 2 pools down below, and then you go upstairs, and then there's a bunch of chairs people can watch. Excuse me. Because that's where they would do swimming competitions and that kind of thing. So they had a bunch of youth swimming competitions, and this was not a situation where we printed up a ton of pictures beforehand. We'd also do things where we show up at a place, we take action shots on the spot, and then print them on the spot. Like we bring little printers and ink and extra paper and everything. And so we're like actively like printing pictures of things that have just occurred, printing them, and then trying to sell them to people, which is kind of stressful. It's a lot to manage altogether, You have to just like keep running this machine, just keep taking pictures, take pictures, print, sell, take pictures, print, sell. My job was to run SD cards up and down between levels because we were selling the pictures at a booth on the upper level. The photographers were taking pictures next to the pool on the lower level. So my job was to go up and down the stairs, grab SD cards, and then bring them up and hand them off to the printer. And that's what I did for many hours that day, which doesn't sound that bad. Doesn't sound that bad, right? But you have to consider, one, I am going up and down stairs, right? Which, boo-hoo, whatever. I was young. That wasn't a big deal. But I had to work a full shift in this big indoor swimming pool, okay? With 2 pools in it. By the end of the day, and this started 20 minutes into my shift. My eyes were burning with chlorine fumes. It was just walking around. I just, looked like I ate an edible, and the whole shift, it's a competition, right? There's people talking, there's people yelling, and there's people blowing whistles in this giant echo chamber, right? Big tall ceilings just reverberating like crazy. And so for 8 hours, I'm walking up and down stairs with burning eyes and just reverberating whistles and yells going into my ear. Just like, okay, thank you. So that was miserable. Yeah, one of the most uncomfortable work days I've had. And again, of course, it's all relative, I know there's harder jobs. I know that, okay? I'm just sharing stories, all right? Yeah, so that was that job. That was my first job at Tintype, the youth sports photography company, all right? Not a bad first job to have. Kind of fun sometimes. Got a little experience, just got used to working a job. That was the main thing, all right? All right, so after college, I need a job. I need something I can get to. I don't have a car. Can't afford to buy a car. Nobody's helping me get a car. And I also I was dating my now wife at the time, I wanted to move into her place in Chicago. So I was trying to find something in Chicago. I ended up finding, took me about 3 months, and I found this job in Chicago in the Lincoln Park area. There is maybe you've heard of these, maybe you have one in your area, maybe you don't. I don't know how common they are anymore. But there is a franchise of children's enrichment centers, right? Children's enrichment facilities, whatever. And it's geared towards much younger children, right? Like 2 years old, 3 years old. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 was, I think, about the top end. And they just have different activities, classes, stuff like that. It's enrichment. It's enrichment for very young children. So they have a little gymnasium. They do, just super, super basic, just gymnastics, art classes. They host birthday parties, just stuff like that. Just enrichment, just to give kids more experiences when they're really young and formative stuff, and someone was getting one set up in Chicago, and so they were hiring all the people they needed to hire, right? Now, each one of these locations, it's called Kidville, by the way. Their color scheme was orange everything. It was called Kidville. Now, each one of these locations had a 4-piece band, right? That would put on like Blues Clues-esque 45-minute performances that would just have, covers of pop music in them, as well as like original Kidville written pieces, because it was a franchise. There was like a head office, and they would send out like lesson plans for all the different classes, including the one with the music, right? And and it was for babies. It was for babies and 1 and 2 year olds. Just these little kids would come in and just, hear nice, pleasant live music, really early on in their lives, which is pretty cool. Honestly, from what I saw, it was mostly because these classes weren't cheap to take, and it was in a nice part of Chicago. So mostly these classes were like things for your nanny to do while they're watching your kid, just extra add-ons, like, oh, take them to the thing, because I didn't see a lot of parents there. It was mostly nannies taking babies, putting on shows for nannies and babies. Okay. But it was pretty fun. And so, they called these bands the Rockin' Railroad. Rockin' Railroad, right? And it consisted of 2 people who would sing. One person, like, they would be out interacting with the kids more. One person, they'd play guitar, like acoustic guitar, and they'd sing. And then another person who would sing and operate little puppets, cute little puppets. So it was like kind of like a interactive puppet show thing. And I was in the back, right? I was playing piano. It was piano and drums in the back. It's like support, right? So I was playing piano. And so every week I had to learn about 5 new songs, because the lesson plan changed each week. You learn new songs. That's the show that week. You put on as many shows as people sign up for, and then you learn new material. Some songs repeat, just like Blues Clues, right? It's you're always singing Mail Time, right? Stuff like that. So yeah, I had to learn 5 new like pop songs, or sometimes it was like Motown, pop, just pop music from like, throughout history, throughout the last 50 years. I would sit down, and obviously I would learn like simplified versions of them. I just like made sure I could get the chords, any special melodies if one needed it. And I would just make a little cheat sheet, right? I would sit down the night before so it was fresh in my mind. I'd make my little cheat sheet where I just write down the main chords of the song to jog my memory, anything else that I needed to know, just on a little card so I could go in and make it through. I also, it was just like a digital piano they had there. I also set it up, I did like the split on the keyboard, right? Where below a certain note, it's like a different sound for the lower register, and then a different sound for the higher register. So I think I usually like to do for fun just like an electric piano sound on the high register, and then like a bass guitar on the low, or maybe like I do like a piano sound on the high register and an electric piano on the low, to like do the job of the bass guitar as well, like fill in that thing, because that's how I naturally started to play piano in my life. I really like that kind of thing where you're doing bass lines with the left hand and then rhythm with the right, as opposed to doing like rhythm chordal stuff with the left and then melody stuff with the right. I think I just maybe watched a little too much Ray Manzarek from The Doors in my formative years, and so that just rubbed off on me a lot, just watching him operate. Honestly, a fun job. I would have worked there a lot longer if more people had continued to sign up for these classes, because the money was pretty good. It was hourly, right? So you just get paid when there's classes, and the more classes there are, the more you get paid. And it was at the time it was a reasonable amount of money per class, right? Not too bad. But when the business opened, there was a decent amount of people that signed up for classes, and so it was enough at the time with the overhead I had in my life that it was okay. It was okay for a minute, but then the classes started to dip, It wasn't as much, and then it got down to where it was like one class a week, and I was like, I can't. This is no longer worth me even like biking out here. This is no longer like, it's just barely worth the train fare it would take me to get here. The energy I would burn, the food I would need to replace calories to just get here at all. I can't. I have to go do something else that is more consistent, right? But I would have worked there so much longer if I could have had several classes to do every day of the week, Monday through Friday. I would have worked there so much longer because the money would have been okay, But it was pretty fun. The best part about it was that I got to meet a bunch of other goofy Chicago musicians who were also looking for a job like that, right? Something where they could be a W-2 employee, but still had something to do with music, so it doesn't suck so bad, right? So you still feel like you're doing something creatively productive, right? So I met some awesome people that I'll honestly remember forever, right? The drummers I met were great. I won't say anybody's name because I don't know. But yeah, the drummers I met were so much fun. I got to bond with the drummers more because, like I said, we were in the back together. And so, we joke around. One of the drummers, I love this guy. He was older than me at the time. Or he's still older than me. I don't know why I said it like that. He was older than me back then. We're the same age now. But he was always he was always spewing like quotes from great movies at the appropriate times. He was always like busting out Willy Wonka quotes, and he was just jolly as fuck. That's such a great spirit. This other drummer his chops were killer. It was so much fun because we jammed sometimes like in between classes, and oh man, what a pleasure to play with this guy. The other guy too, all the drummers were great. All the drummers were great to jam with, but this guy, his chops were killer. He was so tight, he was so groovy. He went on to become like a full-time sound healer. He went down that route where he'll show up at places, you can hire him and he'll show up with a bunch of didgeridoos and sound bowls and gongs and stuff like that, and make you feel real good, man. Give you some full body goosebumps, transport you to a different planet, that kind of shit, right? And then, yeah, everybody else, just creative, interesting people. They all had their own stuff going on, right? They all made their own original music or played in bands or painted, just that was the coolest part of the job. I met these awesome creative spirits there, and it was cool, I'll remember them forever. I haven't seen any of them in a long time, but I like to know what they're up to. And when I see creative stuff they're doing, I like to tell them I appreciate it, and that I remember them. Okay. So that was Kidville. And again, I had to leave there because it just wasn't enough work. Not sustainable. I needed consistency in my life. Okay. So then I started working at another weird place, right? So I needed to, God, first of all, I was trying to do, look for work online, but holy shit. Listen, I know there's probably a lot of people out there have an experience where you get lucky looking for work online. I have almost never been lucky looking for work online. It's so incredibly demoralizing. Everything takes forever. No one ever hits you back. That has been my experience the entire time. And I needed a job quick because, like I said, they weren't giving me a lot of work anymore over at Kidville, so I needed something immediately. I actually started working at this place. Yeah, that's right. I started working at this new place while I was still working at Kidville, right? Because they took so many classes away, and I was just like, I need to supplement this. This is crazy. Budget's way too tight. And so I was looking online and stuff. And it was actually my wife at the time that just sat me down and was like, listen, man, this is more urgent. You can't take all the time in the world to like look online. It's going to take too long. You need to print out resumes right now and just walk around. Go to every single business and walk in and say you want to work immediately. And then if they take your resume, if they have open positions and seem interested at all, you go back every day and you bug them, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, okay. I'd never done that before, right? And so that's what I did. For a few weeks, I went around with my bag full of resumes and full of all the information that's usually on job applications, so I could walk in and be like, hey, I'm looking to work right away. Here's my resume. Are you hiring? And they're like, yeah, we have some open positions. And they give me an application. I fill it out right there. I give it back to them. Not fucking around. No delay. Right? I did that for a few weeks. And one of the places I went into, they did end up calling me back and hiring me. And it was a place in Lincoln Square in Chicago. Again, this business no longer there. And it was called Pickles Playroom. All right. They hired me for two reasons. They hired me because I was at the time working a job that did involve children. This job also involved children, right? So there was that correlation. And oddly enough, they hired me too because of my experience with audio, which I'll get into a little bit later. I will leave that mysterious for the moment, and I will reveal that mystery at a later time. So just hang in there. Hang in there, you fucks. All right? Don't fucking rush me. God damn it. So yeah, this was a very interesting business. It was a children's hair salon. I'm sure you've seen these, maybe. A children's hair salon / cafe / indoor children's play space. Okay? At the time that I got hired, the business was in the process of switching owners. Someone was buying the business. Now, this might be interesting. You might have had this experience before, you may have not. But this is when I found out about this. So, the previous owner, right, who was still there, I came in during the time of transition. The previous owner, it was a man, and in his relationship, right, his wife made vastly more money than he ever did, right? So she was kind of the breadwinner of the relationship. And so, like, he just needed something to do, okay? And this freaked me out at the time. This not freaked me out, but like this, it was interesting to wrap my head around this at the time. That's what I'll say. Is that if you have a lot of money in life, right? Or if you're in a relationship where there's just a lot of money floating around, right? A thing to do, right? Which, in my experience, right? If you're looking for like, something to take up time in your day, I'm thinking about like, I don't know, like learn how to play an instrument, do a little bit of gardening, right? Learn how to draw, read some books, go on some walks, but when you got a lot of money floating around in your relationship, right? A thing to do with your time is start a small business, right? Rent out storefronts, hire employees. That's like a hobby, right? So that's why he started the business. He just needed something to do, right? Something to do during the day, right? And he was selling the business to a woman who was doing the same thing, right? Just reversed, right? Her husband made very, very good money, right? She didn't need to work, but she wanted something to do, to be a part of the community, right? And so he just sold it into another, similar situation, right? And I guess you could call these people like they're investors, they're investing in small businesses, that kind of thing. They just needed something to do, man. That's just the reality of it, it's just an intense hobby, right? It's just a very involved hobby, right? Yeah. So anyway, I get hired there. I'm working in the cafe. I'm making paninis. I'm learning how to make coffee, right? And I didn't like or drink coffee before I started working there. Maybe some of you out there have had a similar experience, right? Where you didn't drink coffee, but you got into a job at Starbucks or Caribou Coffee or just being a barista somewhere, because it is an entry-level position. You don't always need experience. It's pretty easy to teach somebody how to use an espresso machine and that kind of thing. And you want to know if you're doing a good job at making the drinks. You want to know that you're making the drinks how you intend to make them. So you have to develop experience with the coffee beverages. You have to know how they taste, how they're supposed to taste, when they're off, when they're right. And so that's when I started drinking coffee, and I've been drinking coffee till this day. So that kind of fucked me up. I thought I was just going to go through life not doing coffee, because I didn't used to like the taste. I never felt like I needed it. And then you start drinking coffee, and then you start feeling like you need it, because it's drugs, It's fucking speed, But it's good, man. Drugs are good. You can quote me on that. Drugs are good. Anyway. Yeah, so I was making paninis, I was making coffee, I was cleaning up, doing that stuff. I met some fun people there too, because every weird day job I've had, right? Mostly the people working there are people like me who have creative aspirations in one field or another, but just need some day job to pay the bills. That will hire goofy people like me, goofy people like us. Okay. So yeah, I met some more goofballs. Some more goofballs at the old Pickles Playroom. Okay. Couple memorable ones. There was this older woman, probably in her 50s, I think. And her husband had passed away, like maybe like the last year or so, right? They were both retired. Her husband passed away, and when that stuff happens, it throws off your whole life, your whole routine, your whole flow, right? And so for a while after he died, she just focused on like keeping the house like spotless, right? And she just like cleaned every nook and cranny, just, every little detail of her house. She just went over with the fine tooth comb and cleaned everything, made her house absolutely spotless, stepped back and was like, fuck, what do I do now? She's like, well, I don't know. Maybe I'll go make somewhere else clean, And so she went and was looking for a part-time job, right? And they hired her there. And what a sweetheart. What an absolute sweetheart. I remember her very fondly. So nice, like bubbly, so pleasant. She had like good family values, she's just like generous, kind. Obviously she had been out of the working game for a little bit. Now she was going back to like a dumb entry-level job. But she was going back just because she just wanted to stay sharp, and have a little something to do. And she had a great attitude, She was excited to learn how to do stuff. She wanted to do a good job. She was just actually like legitimately happy to be there and just around people. And so that was just really nice. That was very sweet. And then the other coworker that is very memorable, I will say his name. His name is Dan Baxter, right? And the reason I'm saying his name is he's online doing stuff, okay? Since I mentioned him anyway, I'll put this in the link I'll put a link in the description as well where you can go find what he does. Because Dan was fucking great. Not only did he have an incredible sense of humor, and we would joke around, and it just made the day so much better. I mean, I'm sure you've had that experience. Like when you have an employee that you can like just fuck with and laugh with throughout the day, makes everything, it just lubricates everything. The whole day is softer, right? Rounds out all those edges of the day job, right? Not only that, he was enormously passionate about music, as was I, right? So we'd joke around, we'd fuck around, we'd fuck with each other, bust each other's chops, and then talk about music. And it was great, So yeah, he does multiple weekly live streams, listening to music, listening to vinyl. He's got a huge vinyl collection, right? And so yeah, he does like, on Sundays, he does Grateful Dead, like a whole Grateful Dead listening party on Twitch. And then like 3 other times during the week, I think, he does like morning, like music with your morning coffee type streams, right? Where he's got this, and he listens to full albums. So you sit back, you chill, listen to full albums, you hang out. It's fucking great. And he's there with you. He's not just a scheduled thing. He's sitting in a chair. He's talking a little bit, putting stuff on, interacting with people a little bit. It's all on Twitch. And then he posts shorts on TikTok as well, highlighting different vinyl records he has. And it's awesome, man. It's so fucking chill. And especially for me, because I miss the guy, and so it's really nice just to, pop into the live stream when I can. Just sit back, listen to some fucking records together. Just listen to some music with your buddy, you know? Fucking nice. So yeah, that's why I say his name, because he's being on the internet. He's being on the internet. Oh, I missed a button. Why didn't you tell me? God damn it. What the fuck is wrong with you? Just watching me struggle. Just watching me. Just missing one button up here like a goober. Shame on you. I blame you. God damn it. What's wrong with this world? Faith in humanity has been shaken. Anyway. Now, so there I am at Pickle's Playroom, making paninis, making lattes, okay? Occasionally cleaning up piss, throwing out diapers, okay? Very interesting to work. As I said, it was also part kid salon. Very interesting to work in that kind of environment. Because as I'm sure you know, kids, they hate getting their fucking hair cut, right? Most of the time. And that being said, very, very cool in a way. I mean, obviously a little annoying to be in a place where kids are screaming a lot, you know. But I kind of got used to it. It wasn't so bad. But also cool to watch the stylists, right, cut these kids' hair and work with these kids. Because cutting kids' hair, that's a very specific skill. You not only have to know most of the things about cutting hair, right, but you also have to know child energy management. Right? You have to know which child energy, way more chaotic than an adult. Obviously, if you're a stylist as an adult, you have to know how to be cool. You have to know, like, does this person want to talk to me? Do they not want to talk to me? You got to know how to interact. But with kids, it's like, it's just like this bomb that's threatening to go off, you know? So you really have to know, like, how to keep them focused on something, you know? And so the salon chairs were, they're really cool. They were pedal cars. They were converted pedal cars. So the kid gets to sit in a pedal car, right? It still had the pedals on it. So they could do that, and that would like get energy out. It would be like an energy outlet, right? Help keep them calm by like spinning the pedals with their feet. And then each station had a little flat screen TV mounted right in front of it with a DVD player and like a Roku, I think. And so you could put something on, the kid can watch it, have a good time, and get their hair cut. And that really did help a lot. But yeah, I don't want to downplay this. Like the skill of the stylist and like managing the energy of these children, it was something to see. It was impressive. It was really cool. And I will say, if you're ever on the fence about one of these places, if you have kids and there is a place nearby that specializes in children's haircuts, and I don't know what the price difference is, you know, like if it is a little bit more expensive, I'd recommend going. Because these are people who, this is specifically what they deal with, right? And it's kind of cool because it really increases the chance that the kids are going to have better formative memories of getting their haircut, right? My first memories of getting haircuts was, unpleasant. I was in this really unfamiliar place. I think my mom just took me to like a Great Clips, or like she took me to the salon that she would go to get her haircut. And like these people I don't know, the chair's too big. I just feel like I don't belong, and it's a weird environment. It doesn't feel like it's for me, and it was scary. And yeah, it was uncomfortable. So yeah, if you got the money, if it's not too much more, if you can do it, I'd recommend going and trying these places out, because yeah, it's specialized and it's really cool. And usually these stylists, they know how to do it. You know, they know how to be perfectly empathetic and sympathetic to the child's situation. They know how to keep them focused. They're like battle ready for that kind of shit, you know? So it was kind of cool to watch them work, you know? And yeah, so that was a weird job. That was a weird one. I'd work the front desk, I'd interface with customers, I'd schedule appointments for the salon. So while I was working there, I got a promotion to assistant manager. So I was assistant manager there for about like a year and a half, I think. That just added some responsibilities. I do like employee training. I'd make the schedule. I do some cash deposits, stuff like that. And that's when I found out actually that I really like training new employees. I really like it. And I don't mind being in a manager position because I'm one of those people I like being in a manager position because then I get to manage people in the ways that I wish other people would manage me. I'm one of those guys. So I'm excited to, I like that. Excuse me. And yeah, that's when I found out I love training new employees and that I'm good at it, right? I'm simultaneously good at making them feel comfortable, right? And confident in what they're doing while giving them all the information they need in a way that is digestible, right? But that's what I was really happy with and really happy to be able to do when I was training employees. I tell them right away, like, hey, listen, I'm going to give you all the information, right, on how to do A, B, and C. I'm going to give you all the details, and I'm going to tell you why those details are important. But at the same time, don't feel like you have to remember everything right away. Like, it's going to be okay. I'm just going to give you all the information up front in this training period, right? And then it will all become second nature over time, which most people know, but I felt so good to remind them of that. Just to be like, hey, it's okay. You're going to get in, you'll come up against the wall, you ask a question, you get reminded, right? And then you're like, got it. And then you keep going. And it'll just become second nature. So don't worry about remembering everything. Just here's all the information. And I also love creating efficient procedures. I love just good flow, for everything, for just like where to put stuff, where to move, how to move, order of operations. I love creating efficient procedures. And so I loved tweaking the procedures that were already there because it was a small business. It's not like you're at a McDonald's and those procedures are locked the fuck in, like just tweaking things, more freedom to tweaking things, making them more efficient, making them more, giving them a higher degree of flow, and then passing that on to other employees, right? So it felt great. Now let's tie this back in. One of the reasons I was hired was because of my audio background. And that's because the new owner, right, she had a few different things going on, right? This business was just one of them. The other thing that she liked to dabble in was hosting internet radio stations, right? I don't know how she got into this. I have no idea. But yeah, she liked hosting internet radio stations. And so when she bought Pickles Playroom, right, she then rebranded the internet radio station she was running to meld with Pickles Playroom. So it became WLUV, picklesplayroom.com radio, right? And it was a radio station geared towards music that would be good for children. It's like a children's music internet radio station, right? And she hired me because she eventually wanted me to take over managing that internet radio station when she had built it up enough, like when it was like, when there was enough work to do with it that I could do it full time. And yeah, like after a couple years, 2.5 years, like working at this place, she was like, hey, I had kind of forgotten about it. I had forgotten that she ever mentioned that because it was so long ago and I don't even remember. And And then she talked to me one day and she's like, yeah, it's time. It's time. Let's get you on there. And I'm like, oh shit, okay. So then, am I wheezing or something? So then I was working full time from home, managing a children's internet radio station. Another weird fucking thing. Okay, so let's get into that now. One moment. Okay. So I did not receive a lot of guidance on how to do this job. I had some vague goals that were given to me, and then she just kind of fucked off and let me do whatever I wanted to do for the most part. Every once in a while, she'd contact me and ask me to do some specific things, because she also put me in charge of social media posting for the radio station and for Pickles, which I hate that shit. I don't like doing social media marketing in general, especially if I really don't give a shit about what I'm doing. Like, my wife would make fun of me because I would just be like typing out stuff into Facebook, like on the Pickles Playroom Facebook page, just like advertising some product, and you could just feel my energy all throughout the house, just like, come in on Saturday we ordered new Pokemon toys, come on down. Like, I was just like, oh God, it's sucking the life out of me. It's just not for me, man. I just couldn't get into it. But anyway, so yeah, she'd ask me to do some specific things sometimes. She's like, oh, I need you to go into Pickles, like make a video of this, advertising this or whatever. And I did that, and that was kind of fun. But yeah, most of it was just managing this internet radio station, which, yeah, I received like really no guidance in. She wanted like sponsors, but I don't know how to do that. I can record commercials, which I did one time. She managed to sell like some ad time to one person, and I recorded a commercial for her, and I made custom music for it. I'm the audio guy. I'm not the marketing guy. Okay? And sure, I could have stepped up and learned that stuff, but I don't know. Where do I even begin? I'm not good at it, and I wasn't being like pushed really hard to figure that out. She mostly just left me alone. So I just focused on the things I knew how to do, right? I know how to make good playlists, right? I know good music. I know how to edit and do sound design and stuff like that. So I did all of that shit, right? And I didn't really like the radio station when she handed it over to me, right? It was almost pure top 40 pop shit at the time, right? That was just also family friendly. And listen, while I get that has its place, right? I was like, man, fuck this. I tore it all down. Because managing an internet radio station is kind of cool. It's like an online, you like go to a website, it's like an online piece of software that you can populate with music and then make playlists and play blocks and schedule all these things automatically throughout the day. So you can make so I made a bunch of stuff, so I tore it all down and I started from scratch. Listen, after I was doing this job for about a year and a half, I believe. And it took me a while to fully process all of this because she fired me after a year and a half. She got on a video call with me, told me that she was checking out the radio station and it was not what she wanted, right? Now I'm going to remind you again, I received no guidance for a year and a half. she never like, hey, could you do a little bit more of this? I don't really like that. Could you change that? Right? She left me to my own devices and only checked in with me about it a year and a half in. And she told me, I just checked the radio station. It's not really what I'm going for. And then I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, I get it. Just tell me what you're going for. Tell me what you'd like me to change and I can change it. Right? Because I'm not an asshole. Like, I want to please my managers. I want to do what the job is, what is required of the job. But yeah, again, no guidance. Just asking me to do some specific things occasionally with like marketing and making videos and stuff like that, which I did when asked, right? But otherwise I was left to my own devices. And so I'm like, yeah, I'll change whatever you want, And she's like, no, you don't get it. We're letting you go. I'm like, oh, well, thanks. God damn it. Yeah, it took me like 2 years to sit back and like actually see how I felt about all that. Because I felt bad, like, oh shit, did I do a bad job? And you know what? I fucking didn't. You know how I really feel? I was proud as shit. I was incredibly proud of what I made, of that radio station, right? Because I have always felt that there was a problem with children's music, and a problem for music that is geared to kids. I always felt like kids should experience, as long as it's family friendly, right? As long as it doesn't contain any themes that are beyond what a child should be comprehending, or something in them that you would not want them to repeat, stuff like that. As long as they are family friendly, you should give kids as wide of an experience, as wide and varied an experience of music as you can, right? Play them, popular music, throughout the whole last century, right? Play them different styles, right? Play them some funk, play them some Motown, play them some R&B, play a little, play alternative music from the 90s, progressive rock from the 70s, folk from the 60s, just everything, playing some instrumental stuff, right? Playing some classical, play them some, fucking George Winston, play them some Vince Guaraldi, play them some jazz, just give them all the tastes. I've always felt that way. And I also felt that music specifically made for children, it doesn't have to suck ass. It doesn't have to be also shitty. It doesn't have to be cheap and clunky and poorly performed. It can still be good and still geared at children. So I made a lot of relationships with children's music artists, right? Because I'd reach out to people and be like, hey, we got this radio station. Do you want to send me a few songs? I can put them on the station, right? They can may get heard a little bit more, or you can talk about whatever, a little cross promotion stuff. So I made a lot of relationships with children's music artists, and I only put the best shit on the station, I even made a video I was very proud of at the time showing like, hey, if you're looking for children's music, so the music specifically made for children, but it's also good, so your kids actually get to experience what good music sounds like, well made, well recorded, tight, interesting music, but meant for kids. It exists. I found some, and I got to push that. So that was another thing I was very proud of. And so I was incredibly proud of what I put together. I put together 20 a database, or a playlist, a collection of 24 hours worth of music that I built from the ground up. I didn't have a budget to buy new music for the station. So I went to libraries and checked out CDs and then went home and ripped them and then built up the playlist that way, right? Because I asked my manager, I'm like, do I have a budget for music? And she's like, no. I'm like, okay, well, I'm getting it. So that's what I did. There's a lot of public libraries in Chicago. So I just went to all the different libraries all the time, checked out stacks of CDs. That's how I found out a lot about, that's how I found a lot of cool new music that I was not aware of at the time. And it was all, everything that I put on the station, I was all family friendly. It was interesting. All these different varieties of styles. It's, all enriching, and all feel good, enriching music. And so I was so happy, such a cool thing. I was so proud of what I was doing. I don't know what she wanted. She wanted to make money. She wanted more sponsors, which I don't know what to tell you. I wasn't good at that, and I wasn't being properly incentivized to go do that. I don't know how to set that up. I've never done that before. I can make commercials and shit. You get sponsors. I'll make the commercial for them. We'll put it on. I'll keep the radio station running. I don't know, But I assume she just wanted the radio station to be fucking candy. She just wanted so much. A lot of people are like this, where they just want sugar, which sugar has its place. I love sugar, but you can't have sugar all day, every day. You'll fucking die, right? There's lots of different versions of sugar, right? When you're eating, sugar is candy, sugar is soda, right? When you're watching stuff, sugar is reality television, trash TV, right? When you're listening to music, sugar is fucking like top 40 empty pop shit. If you ever wondered, why is this artist so popular? Why do people treat Taylor Swift like fucking royalty? Why is she that popular? 'Cause she's sugar. 'Cause she is addictive. That's it. It's sugar music, okay? That's a great way to think about it. And I'm not even judging it. Again, I love sugar. I do. I like some trash TV every now and again. I like a little brain rot. I love fucking donuts. I love ice cream. I love a good soda. Fuck, I can't deny that, right? But you know what I also love? A fucking balanced meal. A balanced meal, man, with fiber and protein and good fats and greens and vitamins, I like a balanced meal. That's what it's fucking about. That's the foundational experience. She wanted a sugar station. And I can't do that. I'm not making a sugar station. That would hurt me to do, especially because I love music so much. So I made a balanced meal station, and she didn't want that. What are you going to do, right? But I was very proud of what I did. I made this huge playlist, as I said, all different styles: jazz, classical, Motown, alternative rock, all stuff, all good shit, all enriching. I made different play blocks throughout the day. Sometimes it was just general, I had the main playlist, and then I had, excuse me, and then I had sub playlists, smaller lists. So I would do here's the late night jazz hour, right? Here's the vinyl hour that was populated with stuff that I had ripped off of vinyl from my personal collection, right? And all night I would play super chill classical piano pieces, right? And it was like the lullaby block, right? And then there was children's music in the morning. I was having a good time. It was fun. And I really built something I was really proud of. but it ended up not being the thing. And so it took me a while to look back and be like, you know what? I did a fantastic job. At least like with what I wanted to do. And I wasn't being given any guidance, so fuck you. It took me 2 years, and then one day I was just laying in bed, and it just hit me. I'm like, I was really proud of that. And that hurt me to have to walk away from it. And fuck you. Fuck you for the first time you check in about it is a year and a half and you fire me. Go fuck yourself. And listen, I'm not mad at her. Whatever. Life flows in the way it flows. Life flows in the way it must. What is there to do? So I don't hold any grudges. But and yeah, right before I lost access to the server for all the music, I got rid of everything. I completely stripped it, out of pettiness. I was like, oh, you don't like what I did with the station? Then you start over. Because she was going to keep going with it. She found somebody else who do it for free and make it sugar, So fuck it. So I got rid of everything because I did all that. I built it from scratch. So fuck you. So that was that. Unemployed again, but I could apply for unemployment now. So at least I had a little bit of time to find something new. So that's that chapter there. Okay, we'll move on. After I got fired, Pickle stayed in business for a little while longer. And then she shut it down. That must have had some crazy operating costs because that business occupied 3 storefronts. 3 storefronts in Chicago. 1 storefront for the cafe, 1 storefront for the salon, 1 storefront for the indoor play space. That rent must have been a motherfucker. So anyways, yeah, that shut down, got replaced by another business. Fades away into the past. That's it, right? And I think Kidville just faded away as well. I think they hung in a little bit longer. I think the pandemic did away with them, right? I think. And then, okay, so I was on unemployment, so pressure wasn't super on, but I needed to find something else, right? Unemployment doesn't last forever. During that time where I was unemployed, we also had this opportunity to move, right? Upgrade our living situation a little bit, right? Got a good deal. And so we were doing that. It was just to another Chicago neighborhood, but relatively speaking, it was a bit of a trek away. So I was looking for a new job. I didn't want to show up at the new place without a job. That would have just stressed me out too much. I would like to, I wanted to already have a job when I got there. So I was looking in the area, right, in the other neighborhood of this new place for something. And I applied. There was a small dog walking company, right? So now we enter the dog walking chapter of your boy's life, okay? I did this for probably another year and a half, maybe 2 years, something like that. And yeah, they hired me quick, I applied. They called me the next day and they're like, yeah, come in, talk to us. And they're like, yeah, we like you. Here, go, you seem cool. And that was another one of those unfortunate things. Like I said with Kidville, if I would have worked there a long time, I would have worked there for years. If there was a lot of classes happening every week, I would have worked there for years. That was fun. I was getting to play music with people, right? It was just the money. I couldn't support myself on that, And so same thing with this dog walking job. It was actually really nice, There were some challenges because it's a job you work outside. So there were some challenges there, but I would have worked there for much longer too. But yeah, the money was so bad. The money was so bad. And it was weird because, like, it was like technically a part-time job, but I was out of the house for full-time hours, right? Because you get paid per walk, right? Not like per time you are out doing these walks. Like just per walk you get a portion of the money, which makes sense. That's fine. But so I'd be out of the house from like 8:30 in the morning till about 4:30 in the afternoon, right? And I'd have like 8 or 9 walks throughout the day, right? But I wasn't getting paid for, those like 8.5 straight hours. I was just getting paid for those individual walks. So, man, the money was bad, man. I was just fucking, thank God my overhead was low. At the time, we were getting a good deal on the apartment. We weren't paying utilities. It was good. Thank God my overhead was low because, oh my God, that was just money. It was just barely scraping by, while being outside for full-time hours. So, but the work was good. The work was nice. It was fulfilling. It was fun, I got lucky. I got to operate in a very nice neighborhood in Chicago called Sauganash. Fucking money, man. Fucking money up in this place. And so everyone's dog was very well taken care of. Everyone's dog was fairly reasonably behaved, very happy. And the neighborhood was beautiful. Everyone hires landscapers. The neighborhood was beautiful. So I just walk around this beautiful neighborhood all day, walking cute little babies, like it was nice, right? But yeah, there came to a point I just had to go do something else because I was scraping by. Yeah, to give you an example of how fancy this neighborhood got sometimes, there was this one house. I walked their dogs very often. They had 2 West Highland Terriers. If you know what kind of breed that is, Caesar's dog food can, the little white fluffy face. Okay, small dogs. Call them Westies for short. They had 2 Westies. Very sweet little babies. I liked them both. And I'd walk them very often. I'll tell you one thing though, they couldn't take clean shits, man. So often they were not taking clean shits. And when they come back, I'd have to wipe their asses at the end of the walk. And man, have you ever wiped a dog's ass? It's not easy, man. Because there's fur all around it. You wipe it, some of it gets on the fur. It's just like, I'm just using wet wipes. I'm like, is it done yet? I've used like 6. And I'm still getting shit on the thing. What the fuck is happening? Took forever. But so they had 2 West Highland Terriers, okay? Nice big house, right? Nice big house. These guys had so much money. I don't think they had kids either, so the dogs were like their kids. And listen, I'm going to say this up front. I'm not judging these people. If I had the money, I would probably do all of these things, okay? The dogs had their own room in the house, okay? With dog toys, small little miniature dog furniture, right? They had their own room in the house. They had their own TV mounted on the flat screen TV mounted in the wall of that room in the house, tuned all day to dog TV, which you have to get a subscription for, right? So they have their own fucking streaming subscription for dog TV that just plays loops of footage that dogs might enjoy, like footage of other dogs swimming, or other dogs playing fetch, or just balls bouncing, stuff that dogs might like. And they did like it. They would sit there and watch it and get excited. They'd watch a dog jump in the water and they'd be like, it's a good one, And here's the kicker. Here's how you know what kind of neighborhood this fucking is. when their neighbor's house went up for sale, and this was before I got into this, was walking around this neighborhood, before their neighbor's house went up for sale, or I'm sorry, I don't know, like when their neighbor's house was for sale, they bought it and completely leveled the house so they could extend their yard, right? To give their dogs more room to play, be outside. So this house had 2 addresses. They had one address on the garage and one address on the house, right? They were paying property taxes on 2 Chicago lots in a nice fucking neighborhood. So that's the kind of money we're talking about in this neighborhood. They had a full fucking bar and grill in the back, full outdoor kitchen, nice outdoor refrigerator, outdoor stove, outdoor grill, fully covered off the garage, right? Crazy. So yeah, that's what we're talking about. But again, not judging. I would do the same thing. If I had the money. I would do this with the buying your neighbor's house and leveling it and extending your yard. I would do that even if I didn't have dogs, right? Because I do like people. I like talking to people. But neighbors can fuck your shit up. Holy shit. You have a shitty neighbor, it fucks your whole goddamn life up, man. Fuck that. Yeah, so if I could put just more space, that's like the whole like good fences make good neighbors shit. That's fucking true, man. Somebody lives close to you. Sometimes they're really fucking cool. But if they suck, it's bad. So yeah, get away from me. God damn it. Space. Get some space in between this shit, for fuck's sake. Anyway. So yeah, it was fun walking around this adorable neighborhood. Walking around these pups. There was some challenges with the weather. Like you'd have to go out there, rain or shine. Rain or shine, you do that. But I didn't even mind that so much. It was kind of fun, like getting used to the elements, Like I did it in the winter, and that's how I started to learn how to like stay really warm. Tuck things in, tuck everything in, tuck shit into gloves, tuck long underwear into socks, tuck thermal undershirt into pants, all that kind of stuff. And then doing it in the rain. In the rain, I just would go out in just stuff that would dry quickly, So I'd wear, but it's also hot, so I'd wear like a Gore-Tex jacket, like a raincoat with nothing under it, and then like quick drying synthetic pants with nothing under it, and sandals. And so it's kind of fun to be out in the world and just like fucking being in the rain and just like, whatever, man. It's fun to be in the rain and not give a fuck. It really is. And also be feeling it, not completely armored up and waterproof, like be feeling the rain and just being like, yep, I'm wet today, So it's kind of fun, but sometimes challenging. And I met a lot of sweet babies. I met a lot of sweet dogs. There was this one house that had a dog and 2 cats. And the whole energy of this house was so fucking chill. It was like a magic spell in this house. I didn't know what was going on. Both cats were just so chill, affectionate, happy to see you. The dog was named Scout. So fucking chill. Stoic as hell. Just come up, just every movement, just slow, calm. Come up, lay its head on you, sleep, And then the couple that lived there, they had a baby. The baby was chill. They hired a part-time nanny to stay at the house and watch the baby when they were at work and stuff like that. And so I'd see her sometimes. She was chill. She was so nice. I'd come in, I'd, drop the dog off, and she's like, oh, hey, how's it going? Hey, do you want some coffee? I made some chicken soup for the family later. Do you want some soup? I'd sit down, she'd feed me soup and coffee. It was like warm my heart, she would open up to me and like talk to me about her family and stuff. It was this whole house, it was just like a fucking, somebody cast a calming spell on this whole house. And I'm just like, God damn it, this is nice. Good for y'all. I'm so happy for y'all that you have this life like this, And of course, you never know exactly what's going on, but everything was so chill. It's incredible. Everyone was so nice and appreciative. And yeah, it got to a point where I just had to leave, because I just couldn't afford to work there. Because it was, it was like I was working full-time hours, but getting part-time pay, like less than part-time pay. And so it was kind of fucked. And I couldn't do it. So I quit there. I got another job at a place that, sold live sound and DJ equipment. So that was kind of cool, kind of in my field, right? Kind of nice. And they brought me on to like, hey, can you take our inventory and try to sell a portion of it on Amazon? I'm like, sure, I can figure that out. Yeah. And so I got in there, and then I found out that their Amazon account that they had set up in the past had been locked out, right? Because they did something wrong with it, like they weren't using it appropriately. They like broke rules on their Amazon account, and so it had been locked out. And the process of getting it back up was quite involved. Right? You needed to like contact somebody, talk to them, write out a detailed plan on how you intend to avoid making those same mistakes moving forward. Right? And so I went to the manager there, and I'm like, oddly enough, not the person who hired me, it was like co-owned. And the person who hired me, I didn't see him until he fired me at the end of my first week there. So I went to the other manager. I'm like, hey, I can't sell things on Amazon. You guys have been like banned, and I need to sit down with you. And like, I just got here. I need help like getting a plan together, to send them. I don't really know exactly how your business works yet. And he's like, yeah, okay. Never sat down with me. Never took the time to do that. So I was just there. I was trying to come up with other productive things to do, so I was like cleaning. I was trying to come up with some other ideas of things I could do in the meantime. And then at the end of the week, they're just like, yeah, it's not working out. You just don't seem to fit. And I'm like, fucking whatever, man. God damn it. And, would I have been the right person for the job? Maybe not. I don't know. But that was kind of shitty. Fuck them. And then, and I didn't want to go back to dog walking. I probably could have, but I'm like, oh man, I don't want to. It was so much work for nothing, So I was just unemployed and kind of depressed for like a week, which I got through just by playing about 15 hours of Terraria a day, so I didn't have to think about it. Which, if you ever need to get through a tough time in your life, just go ahead and play Terraria. It works really well. It will eat your whole day, so you don't have to think about your feelings. You can just keep digging, and exploring and be like, ooh, gold ore, excellent. I can incorporate that into my home. I can grow glowing mushrooms in the basement. I can set up a mushroom farm. Excellent, excellent. And then the place my wife was working at the time, she sat down one day and she's like, do you want to work where I work? And I'm like, yeah, I do. I don't have the energy to try to find a new job right now. It's so fucking draining and hard and takes too long, and I don't have unemployment benefits right now because I quit voluntarily. And so she's like, she didn't know whether I'd want to work there or not. She's like, "Do you want to work where I work?" I'm like, I do. Now, this place was kind of cool. Another small business that had 3 different locations in the Chicago in the city of Chicago. And it was a passion project business. And this is a cool thing. The whole, like I said with pickles, where somebody opens a small business because they're bored and they need something to do. Careful with that. Their heart's not in it. Okay? Careful with that. Somebody who buys a business because it looks like a good investment and they're just in it for the money, careful. Maybe it'll work out okay. Maybe it won't. They're just, again, their heart's not in it. They just want something that looks like it's going to generate money, right? But this was a passion project business, right? So this business didn't make very much profit, if any profit at all. It was just something that this couple really wanted to contribute to the community. It was a husband and wife. The husband already had, he was already making plenty of money, I believe, as like a contractor, as like a contract carpenter, right? And he had invested into some like apartment buildings. So he was like, landlording, and he was a handy guy. And that paid the bills, that supported the life. But at some point in his life, he had some health issues. And he experienced enormous relief and total alleviation of his health issues with a regimen of high quality, cold pressed organic vegetable juices, right? I'm sure most of you have heard that has helped a lot of people, and you know what? It really has, right? It ain't bullshit. It is concentrated nutrition. There is some shit there, right? You don't have to be a dick about it, but it's there, right? And so he was so taken by this. He was like, wow, this really made a difference. I'd like to help make this accessible to other people, right? Because pressing your own juices like that, it's a lot of work, right? So he got a small business loan. He invested in a production facility, a warehouse, where he could set up large-scale cold-pressed juice machines, make all this juice, bottle it into glass bottles, deliver it fresh to 3 different locations. They started at one and then built out. Deliver it fresh on the daily to different locations so that you go to these places and you're guaranteed fresh, alive, recently made, cold-pressed, organic vegetable juices of different varieties, right? Good shit. And they also made, reasonably healthy smoothies made out of, they're like different, like soup, what would be referred to as like superfood blends, stuff like that. But so this was a passion project business. So like they weren't profit driven. They weren't just bored. They just really wanted to share this with the community. And so, the business, it didn't make a ton of money, but they didn't care. They're just like, hey, if it gets close to breaking even or even loses a little bit of money, that's fine. We're in this to provide a service that we're passionate about. That was fucking cool. That was really nice. The guy who I dealt with mostly, he was the one who would come into the stores and check in, and you would talk to if you had an issue or something. He was great. I loved it. And again, I'm working with, same kind of situation. I'm working with like interesting people who are trying to do different creative things, Met a couple yoga instructors, met a couple theater people, met like a videographer, stuff like that. Like these places are full of people with creative aspirations, so it's kind of fun. You meet some goofy, interesting folks, interesting complex characters, and I always appreciated that. And a few of them were great. We joke around, talk about interesting things. It was fun. And so I worked at one of the stores. I didn't work at the same store my wife did, which was kind of nice because she knew I was a good employee, and it was fun because there had to be coordination between all the stores. because there would be a delivery person that their task would be like to transfer different things to different stores. Like, we would coordinate it like, hey, we need more of this beverage. We need to send some bottled smoothies over there. There's an excess of coconuts at this place, and we need to, then there's not as many over here. We need to transfer them over, stuff like that. And so, yeah, my wife knew I was a good employee. And so she was kind of at ease knowing that at this other location that I was at, that like I was holding it down and could be trusted and, wouldn't fuck things up. So it was cool. And it was also fun. We got to gossip about the same place together, and that was kind of fun. Yeah, it was kind of cool. The clientele was very appreciative and cool. My favorite part of that job was, I'm sure you've heard of people putting together, going on juice cleanses. One sec. I'm sure you've heard of people going on juice cleanses, where they fast, they mostly or entirely abstain from solid food for a period of time, and just drink easily digestible smoothies or straight up just juice, right? Good juice. And that was my favorite part. It was a little stressful to, because there's always a lot of stuff going on. But that was my favorite part, was to plan juice cleanse packages for people. People would call in because it was all customizable. So people would call in, and I would help them figure out like, okay, what are your goals? How intense do you want this to be? How long do you want this to go? Like, do you still want to like work out and like go to work while you're doing this? Do you need some more energy? Are you going to be taking time off from everything? Are you going to be chilling out while you're on it? And it's okay if you have less energy while you're doing it and you can like just drink straight juice, or do you need a little protein in here? And that was really fun to just like work it out, because it always ended well. It was like this nice process, and it was a nice kind of puzzle. And you just ask the right questions, and you take them down this road, and you're like, okay, we got a package set up for you. And they're like, that sounds perfect. That just accommodates their needs, what they want to get out of it, and like meshes well with what they're going to be doing while they're experiencing it. And that was cool. I liked that. There was something about that I liked, In a similar way, like I've always enjoyed like helping people. I just like helping people make purchases, Like I think I would be a really good salesman if I didn't have to be a shitty salesman. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I could actually be a good, honest, helpful, responsible salesman that didn't fuck with people, didn't manipulate them into buying more than they need, didn't hide anything, didn't hide any information, gave them the full picture, and just really and truly helped them make the purchase that was right for them, I would love that. I am good at it, and I really enjoy doing it. It's just most places don't afford that opportunity. There's always some kind of, you got to push this, you got to push them into this deal, you got to draw attention to this, you got to get them to upgrade into this package, there's always that pressure. And I got to get it, of course. Business has got to run. I'm not an idiot. I'm not an idiot. I know that most businesses have to do some goofy shit like that to make do. I am aware of that. I know that it's hard to run a completely honest, squeaky clean business. I know that. That's just reality, right? But yeah, it's kind of a shame. Like I did always enjoy that. I like helping people make purchases. It's fun. It's a fun puzzle. And when you do it right, it's very satisfying because they leave happier than when they got there because something in life went smoothly. Finally someone actually helped them out in a trustworthy fashion, you know? Because so much of life is filled with like you just having to be an expert in every aspect of it so that you can navigate it without getting fucked over, you know? And so, but if you have, you know, if someone is actually helping you, right, actually guiding you through a process of purchasing something in a good, honest way, it's an incredible relief. Like, oh God, finally someone's not trying to fuck with me or take advantage of me. It's just like, Jesus Christ, because finally there's just a little sense of assistance here, you know, because God damn it, you do just have to be an expert in everything, you know. It's just like, okay, do you want health insurance? Well, you better be a fucking expert in health insurance plans, because there are about 1 million different ones you can choose from. They all have different qualities and aspects to them. So you better get ready and know exactly what you're fucking doing, you know? It's like, Jesus Christ. Everything, man. You got to be an expert in insurance. You got to be an expert at taxes. You got to be, it's just every aspect. You got to be an expert at cars, just everything to protect yourself from getting fucked over. And it's exhausting, you know? I digress. So that was kind of a fun job. I was at that job when the pandemic emerged, when the pandemic descended on society, okay? We were both working there. Got a call from our manager, the owner, around the same time, my wife and I. He gave us the opportunity. He's like, do you want me to fire you? And then you can collect unemployment, or do you want to keep working here? It's right at the start of the shutdown in Chicago. And this is the choice we made. If I could go back, I probably would have made a different choice. But at the time, we wanted to try to play it safe. My wife decided to get fired. I decided to keep working, right? So then at least, like, we don't know how it works out. Going to get fired. Are we going to get stimulus checks? Will unemployment insurance be enough here? You know, what's going to happen? Everything was very uncertain. So I'm like, well, there's two of us. You quit. You quit. You do this side. I'll keep working. I'll keep getting a paycheck. And for a bit, it worked out very well. I was doing way more work than I did before. We used to have 3 people there, and then it was just me. I think I was talking about this in the last one, so I won't go on about it too much. But anyway, tips were fucking killer. Everybody was so appreciative that I was coming to work and wearing a mask and working my ass off and giving them juice, you know, especially around that time where everybody was trying to do things to keep their immune systems up. People were appreciating the juice, man. Coming in, getting the ginger lemon cayenne pepper shots, which, holy shit, if you've never had one of those, it's like drugs. It's like goddamn drugs. That thing is spicy, sour. Ooh, it's nice, dude. It's nice. I miss that shit. It's fun to drink. That's why it comes in a shot, because it's a fucking concentrated fucking slam it on the counter, go, you know? It's drug. It's nice. Medicine. But yeah, so people were super appreciative, tipping really good. I was able to save up a lot of money. And then I just got burned out as fuck and then quit, right? And yeah, so we'll end it there, okay? Because the next job I had after that was delivering food for Uber Eats, which I already went into with the last episode. So I won't go into that again. I just thought you'd appreciate just these weird, like just some further insight on some of these weird, goofy jobs out in the world. You know, that a lot of goofy people like me who are just trying to support themselves while they continuously try to advance just build some kind of career, some kind of creative career, end up in, right? These weird jobs. So I thought you'd appreciate, some memories there. And I wanted to tell these stories, unload these different chapters of my life, and then the job I'm working at currently, I don't really want to talk about because I'm there, I shouldn't really talk about, but I felt comfortable talking about all the other stuff because they're all gone. The juice place, they sold it to a guy who was a business investor, and he fucked it up immediately and sold it off, and now it's gone, right? My past disappears like smoke in the wake of my present experience, right? What are you going to do? It's a real weird thing. My past is disappearing so fast, But that's okay. That's okay. So that's why I felt comfortable talking about all that, because they're all gone. They're gone. It's just they're relegated to the past. They're all done. So yeah, I hope you got a kick out of that. All right, we'll wrap it up there. Hope you got a kick out of that weird stuff. If you've been watching, if you've been coming back, really appreciate it. Thanks so much. Appreciate you being here. As always, new episodes every Tuesday at 8 a.m. All right? Gonna keep things rolling, And yeah, if you yourself, if you want to share, put in the comments below if you've had a weird job like one of these, something goofy, a weird memory. I'd love to know. Come on, let's have a dialogue. Hook it up. I'll respond. I respond to everything. I don't get a lot of comments. I'll respond to them. Okay, we can talk. God damn. All right, I appreciate you being here. Again, we've got all the episodes now up on the podcast platforms, on the audio platforms, on Spotify Podcast and Apple Podcast. All right. So if you like the show, consider going over there, listening to them on those audio platforms. Leave a rating. Okay. Really appreciate it. It's all on there now. Just search for Sentimental Fools. There'll be links. Okay. And yeah, as always, if you want to support me in any way, go listen to the podcast over there. It's better for listening in the background anyway while you're doing dishes and mopping the floor and whatever you're doing, right? And there'll be links in the description to take you in all the right directions. You can listen to my music. You can get up on the Patreon. You can send a donation. But just in general, I appreciate you being here. I'm happy that you're here now. I hope you stick around. And yeah, that's it for today. Thanks for letting me unload all my stuff about my weird jobs. More to come later. But for now, bye. Bye. See you later. Have fun at your weird job. I'm sure it's weird. I'm sure you got some stories, okay? Bye. Bye. Clock in. Shovel shit. Clock out. Sleep. Clock in. Shovel shit. Bye. Bye-bye.